Well, well, well. Rajasthan Royals, the team that we thought in the first half of the tournament will ease or cruise through to the playoffs. They have dropped points. They have won 1 out of 6, and they come up against a Kolkata Knight Riders side who we thought, they're going to find it really hard to make it to the playoffs. They're all level as things kick off at the Eden Gardens in just under half an hour from now. We build up to that game on Visit Saudi Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout. Deep Dasgupta is here, who knows the Eden Gardens better than him. Very good evening to Deep. In Bishop has got that lovely crimson of the West Indies tucked inside.
Especially for today.
Especially for today. Russell on display,
Yes,
Narayan on display,
yes,
Hetmeyer,
yes.
Obed McCoy to bowl
Not by chance.
1 over or less. Yeah. It's a very good evening to Bish as well. Sanju Samson's won a toss. He's been winning tosses, but he's not been winning games. Somehow he's not won that last game too.
Yeah.
Now they bowl first, and Kolkata come at the back of a last ball thrilling run chase deep against Punjab. Advantage Rajasthan, or nothing can be said now about Rajasthan with the form they've had?
You can't really. I mean, for both these teams, it's very difficult to predict RR and KKR for that matter. I mean, obviously KKR got this string of wins in the last 4 games, 3 out of 4. They've looked much better, much more compact and well balanced in the last few games. So yeah, but with Rajasthan, I mean, listen, they really need to win from here on.
Yeah. Do you sense that Kolkata still somehow don't seem to have this pressure element about them? Well, everyone wants to get to the playoffs. They seem to be playing with a far freer spirit than Rajasthan, who would have said, we should have been nailing a top 2 spot by now. Here we are now scrapping it out, fighting for a playoff spot. Which camp would you rather be in going into this?
Well, on recent form, I'd have to say Kolkata, but that's only slightly, because I can't believe that Rajasthan were where they were after the first portion, first third of the tournament, and now they're down in that middle, and Kolkata next to them. But I still think there's pressure on both, because KKR have invested heavily in trying to have another championship run, and it's been mixed results. But their recent form is good. I still think they're a dangerous team, but as we've seen in this IPL, today is one of those can switch either way.
Yeah, look at the points table. It will tell you the importance of this game. The fact that Rajasthan Royals, well, if they lose this, they're in serious trouble. But if they win, they've got that healthy net run rate. They go as high as 3rd. You're skipping 3 or 4 places at a really important time of the tournament. And, well, that spot is also open to the Kolkata Knight Riders. They have a much better net run rate, or slightly better net run rate than the Mumbai Indians. So a win today will take them just over Rohit Sharma's side, having played a game more, and MIGT of course kick off tomorrow, so it's plenty to play for. Surface is a big thing at the Eden Gardens. KKR rely on spin. They bowled 13 overs off it in the game against Punjab, and Punjab forgot that they did and bowled just 4. What have we picked up from the surface today? Are we likely to see more spin in this place? Some good spinners in this team.
Yeah, but we haven't seen the surface. We couldn't see the surface as of now, but the fact that Sanju has elected to bowl first, that tells you that it might not turn as much. And it hasn't been raining in Calcutta. Last game, it was raining for like 4 consecutive days previous to the game. And so obviously you could imagine the pitch wasn't kind of rolled enough or watered enough and stuff like that. So it was drier last game. I don't think it'll be as dry as the last one. And I think the fact that Sanju has elected to bowl first, with those spinners, that tells you that would be the usual Eden pitch that we've seen in the last few years.
All right, now team news. It was important for a big game like this. Rajasthan have been boosted by the fact that Trent Bolt returns, and KM Asif, who was tried out early on in the season by the Royals and not really given a long run, played just the 2 games, but has not featured for them since that defeat in Guwahati on the 5th of April, over a month ago. No Kuldeep Yadav, who had a forgettable over against Glenn Phillips in Jaipur last time around in that thrilling game at the Savai Mansingh. And it does mean that their full complement of overseas players are in. There'll be no Obed McCoy or Adam Zampa as they persist with Joe Root. Bish, Bolt returns, and we will not see either McCoy after that 1 over or possibly a 3-man spin attack, which has worked for Kolkata. Thoughts?
Yeah, well, KM Asif is going to have to do his job. Trent Bolt is going to have to be at his very best, because we've identified death bowling as a key thing in the last few games for them, right? So those guys are going to have to step up, whether they get Chahal to bowl a few down the back end. Whoever does it is going to have to be very good with Sandeep, etc. And Joe Root, he's a bowling option according to Sanju there at the toss. So that's another spin option that they've got up their sleeve. So he gives them a comfort in the batting, which was blown away by Gujarat Titans. So I think it's going to be interesting. difficult team to predict. They're just
Yes.
the left field team sometimes. I just can't wait to see how this plays out.
That question was one that fascinated me, that Harsha Bhogle asked Sanju Samson at the toss about Root still playing, and he said he's my third spinning option. And I don't know if he's having some fun, because Sanju does, but the amount of left-handers in that team and the importance of Rana and Rinku and Venki Iyer before that, is he perhaps playing for a dual skill, Joe Root? Can we likely see
Maybe. I think he's hedging his bet. I mean, if there is a little bit of help for the spinners, then obviously a couple of overs from him would be priceless, actually. But then also, if you look back at that team, and I think he would have really wanted to chase any which way. That's the reason. I think had they planned to bowl first, would have had another maybe Obed in there in place of Joe Root, because they wanted to chase.
That is their bowling first team.
That is their bowling first team. That's what I'm saying. Because they would have ideally wanted to chase also before the toss, so they've got an extra batter in Joe Root, an extra international batter. And I believe if the thought was to bowl first, to win the toss and bowl first, they might have gone with maybe Obed McCoy, thinking of defending a total. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Right. But I'm just trying to think of what we discussed pre-game, which was how they'd use their fourth overseas.
Yeah.
And they have given us their answer that we think Root is more important for the stability of our batting rather than McCoy or Holder for our bowling. Now I wonder if we even flirted with the idea of Zampa, play the three spinners and go all out spin in this game, let Chahal bowl at the death. But they have, is it fair to say they have not considered their death bowling as important an issue as their potential collapse in batting, Bish? Because they played Root, Hetmyer and Butler.
Well, I think they're sort of, it seems to me, and I could be totally wrong, they're hedging a little bit because you want Root's batting stability. When I saw him in the UAE playing T20 earlier this year in January, February, he took his T20 batting to another level. He was very innovative. He can play spin well.
Yes.
That's another thing. If they do need someone to come in and play spin well, Joe can certainly do that. Asif is in there replacing Murugan Ashwin, who I thought bowled an over or two too many in the last game and cost them quite a few runs. So at least they've strengthened the seam bowling with that in mind.
Would you call it a strengthening though? I mean, with nothing against Asif, you've not played him a whole month. And
I don't understand.
You made another change. These are tough
Kuldeep Yadav was expensive in that over that he bowled. Previous game, he bowled a really good over in the death.
Yeah, against Chennai, yes.
Yeah, so how do you, I mean, I don't know. I mean, one game he bowled well, one game he didn't. So how do you judge? K.M. Asif, as you mentioned, started off the tournament. He played the first few games. Then he was dropped and he's back again. So I don't understand that part of the selection.
Why would they have brought Asif back then, in theory?
Maybe because he's bowling better in the nets, something on those lines.
Right.
Maybe he's doing really well in the nets. I can't think any other reason why Kuldeep, after that one over where he shouldn't have bowled, according to me, you still had Obed McCoy over from him. Anyways, but I don't understand that part of it. But Joe Root, again, I'm very certain because they're in that mindset, we will chase, no matter how much you get on the board, we'll chase it down. And that's the reason I think Joe Root's there. They've fortified their batting.
Yeah. Kerala boy, isn't he, Asif?
Yeah. He's for Tamil Nadu. Come on,
What's your point?
What's
your point?
I was just trying to think where does he
God.
having fun.
I know you.
Maybe he's in for his batting as well. Get him up. All right, Asif plays. Good luck to him, because it's a tough spot. They've not been able to nail that spot. They've tried Navdeep Saini, they've tried Kuldeep Sen, they've tried Kuldeep Yadav. They've gone back to Asif. But they need their overseas guns to fire. And they've gone on this run we've mentioned many times, where they've won 1 out of 6. It perhaps should come as no coincidence then that one of their biggest players, Shimron Hetmyer, has had a shocker of it in those 6 games. Single-digit scores after he started the tournament so well and managed to play that match-winning innings against the Titans. You thought Hetmyer is red hot, he's carrying on, he contributed in every game before that. But Bishkin, I'm trying to think of how you see Hetmyer respond to such highs in one half of the season and these lows in the second half. They've persisted with him, but can you rationalize the big dip in form and whether he can respond?
IPL is the IPL. It's a long season, and you're going to have those sorts of things. And now is the time for him to respond. We've seen Harry Brook being given a long run for SRH, so the same has to be extended to some other players. So it is an important game for him, but the others at the top have to set a platform because his role is a high-risk role. It hasn't always had the chance to come in early. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, as someone who likes Shimron Hetmeyer, that he can regain what we saw in the first half of the season.
You've got Hetmeyer, who plays the role that Randy Russell does, and Russell now comes at the back of that innings. How much does that change? Because when Russell wins a game for KKR, suddenly they look a different side.
It changes everything, to be honest. I mean, for Russell himself, for the team, you've got a lot more confidence with the top order because they know now that Russell's scoring runs and scoring runs the way he usually does. So that just changes a lot of things, and he's bowling as well. He's bowling a couple of overs almost every game.
Will he be allowed to bowl a couple of overs? He bowled one last game, and then they gave it to the inexperienced guys, Aurora and those guys at the back end. And Russell has said openly, I want to bowl more. Shardul Thakur is not bowled.
Gig, isn't it?
And he is on record as saying, I had a niggle, but I'm bowling again. So will we see Nitish use his bowling resources when that time comes a little bit more efficiently?
Yeah, with Shardul, I'm a little more kind of concerned because obviously, I mean, with the World Test Championship coming up.
You guys have got your national colours on today, haven't you? You're concerned about Joseph. We just did a chat. You're concerned about Shardul.
You've got the old India blue on.
Yeah, the old India blue.
He keeps changing the shades anyways. No, but seriously, I mean, he hasn't bowled. I think he bowled 1 over and that went for plenty. So, yeah, I mean, from an Indian perspective, you want Shardul to be firing as far as his bowling is concerned. I mean, he's taken those numbers. I mean, average of 40, just 4 wickets. But most importantly, how many overs has he bowled? He just bowled 14 or roughly 15 overs in 8 matches, which obviously for someone like him isn't enough.
I'll tell you what, he might bowl today because the change that Nitish Rana makes, he takes out a seamer and brings in a spinner or a spin bowling all-rounder. Anukul Roy has been in and out of this team. At times he's impacted in as the extra batting sub. At times he plays ahead of Surya Sharma. But in this batting first 11, after Samson has won the toss and put them in, Roy plays, Vaibhav Arora goes out, and you can't help but think that Surya Sharma will surely come in. They've named their 4 overseas, so you don't need to worry about Lockie Ferguson on that list. Vaibhav Arora remains an option. It's nice to see Umesh Yadav on the bench, but we're not quite sure on his fitness too, on whether he could be brought in. If they go with their usual thing, Deep, and bring Surya Sharma in, that now gives him 4 specialist spin options with Nitish Rana as a possible 5th. He clearly is thinking differently.
Absolutely, yes. And obviously, you're right. I mean, with that playing 11, you'd expect Shardul to bowl, and you'll expect Andre Russell to bowl a few as well. So that looks good. That looks like a good set. And listen, the thing is, with Sunil Narayan and Varun Chakravarti, these 2 guys, you don't really need the surfaces that much. As long as there's bounce, they'll get something out of that pitch. With the other spinners, you might need the ball to grip and all that stuff. But with these 2 especially, as long as there is bounce on the pitch, they'll be quite handy. Yeah,
there's a chat on the toss with Nitish Rana and Harshan, him saying that this is the pitch I wanted. I don't know what that means. Let's try and interpret it. Whether he's been wanting turning wickets, and in the middle, after that RCB game, when Narayan and Chakravarti bowled so well, Bish, they've got a few pelters and they've fallen short at home. But on these spinning wickets, are KKR more dangerous? Is that what he perhaps was alluding to, and the fact that his team selection may tell us something about it?
Yeah, well, that could be one way of looking at it. When we heard Raunak Kapoor at the pitch report, he said it looks a slightly different, same pitch, but looks slightly different from the previous game, where it looks as though it has some runs in it. Time will tell how that plays off. My only thing with that spin battle is that Rajasthan are right up there with their spin with Ashwin and Chahal as well. So it comes down to who plays it better. But certainly, if you're KKR, I'll hold my hand up and say their best bowling options for the season is backing that spin. And because that is the way they more than likely will win matches.
If you talk matchups, if you're a fan of it, KKR against spin, why don't you have a look at that? And whether this could have played into the thinking of the Rajasthan Royals on adding to their spin contingent. They've got 8 overs. Now, assuming we don't see Joe Root bowl, that's the 8 overs of spin they've got. They could have easily gone Zampa, and it worked with success for them in some of the games they've played. But the average is less than 20, significant number of wickets as well, 30 wickets lost in the 11 games this season. I'm thinking if Rajasthan were a team on the up, if they didn't have the results they did, where bowling's a concern and maybe a couple of batting collapses too, whether this would have been, we would have seen Zampa today.
I don't think so. I'll be very honest. I mean, last game what happened on that Eden pitch, that, I mean, generally spinners don't get as much as that, usually speaking. So, and again, there was a reason behind it, and those reasons aren't there this time around. So I expect this pitch to be as true as we've seen in post 2015. Good pace, bounce, small ground, where seamers have done much better than the spinners. This is how it should be, because again, going back to the KKR and spinners, that's the best bowling unit. I mean, with spinners in there. I mean, if you look at the other options, you'd still back your spinners irrespective of what the conditions are.
All right, we will see. And because we have Rajasthan bowling first, we'll see exactly how Sanju Samson goes about using his bowling resources. Just look at their run of form though. Last 6 games, that's what's caused the problem for the Royals. They were eyeing a top 2 spot. Now they do well to finish in the top 4. And it's not been a happy hunting ground at home. They've lost 3 out of the last 4 at the Savai Mansingh. Did beat the Super Kings. And they got a chase of 2-1-4, was gunned down by the Mumbai Indians. Bangalore as well, beat them in a close afternoon game at the Chinnaswamy. So their solitary win has been that game at Jaipur against CSK. Well, let's focus on a few players now, shall we? Kolkata batting first. Venkatesh Iyer lit up the first half of the tournament when KKR were winning some, losing some. But his 100 was a magnificent one, albeit in a losing cause against the Mumbai Indians. That's what happened since. So he's in a bit of a slump on his own now. What are we looking at from what we know of Venki Iyer? Did he almost peak too soon for a player who wanted to put a statement out, and certainly did, and all of a sudden after that it's gone a bit flat?
He has, and a lot of it would be because he kind of, I wouldn't say struggle would be a too strong a word, but he's not as fluent against spin as he is against pace. And he's moved up and down the order way too much. Last couple, I mean, we're just talking about 2 years, and he's almost played 3 different positions: open, middle order, finish. I mean, that's way too much of movement for a batter. I don't care how good you are, but it's so difficult to adapt to different situations. And in the last few games, at number 4, he's come against some really good spinners on tracks where there was help. And maybe that's one of the reasons. I mean, if this pitch is what Eden pitches usually are, he might enjoy batting on this.
It's a funny one, Bish, because he was putting in big innings in games they were losing. And after that, the batting overall seems to have improved. Nitish Rana's form has improved. Roy has come in and given them something significant. When the batting order got stronger, that's when we've seen Venki Iyer lose his form.
Yeah, and normally I would worry about it a lot more than I would be concerned now, but the fact that other guys are stepping up. Gurbaz had a good innings on return. Jason Roy has been consistently scoring runs, and we had Russell firing, Rinku's doing his thing, Nitish Rana. So while KKR fans would want Venki to fire again if he gets the opportunity tonight, I think the satisfying thing so far in this little run they've had is other guys are stepping up and scoring runs for them. So I wouldn't want to place too much focus on him. It would be ideal if he scores, but happy for KKR anyway that other guys are doing a job.
All right, fair enough. Nitish Rana has had an excellent season, and KKR are firing. Jason Roy is firing at the top of the order. His numbers have been terrific, so he's added something significant to this KKR side, who seem to have now got their balance. You might still argue about Narayan versus Lockie Ferguson, but spin has worked for them. What 3 spinners allow, possibly 4 today, is their spinners even bowling at the death. Varun Chakravarti's ended up being a force or a serious threat at the death. And just to compare your own resources, Deep, I guess is how they go. They've seen their seamers. Vaibhav Arora's come in and out. Harshit Rana's done a job. They've played Umesh Yadav before. Shardul's not bowling, but spinners going at 8.8. Pacers at 13.4 in the final 5 overs.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was talking about. I mean, you're still, your best bet are your spinners, irrespective of the conditions. There are a lot of good young bowlers there, and especially Harshit Rana. I think got to watch out for this kid. He's really, really good. I really like what I see. There are a lot of young fast bowlers in the competition, but for me, this year, he stands out. I think he's a proper athlete. But again, going back to that point, yeah, Varun's been phenomenal this season. Again, we've touched upon some of the reasons. One of the main reason I believe is the fitness levels that he's worked on. Extremely fit, confident, and I guess one of those guys who obviously a lot of us, we do thrive on performances, good performances, and I think he's had quite a few of them, and he's at his peak, it seems, right now.
Yeah. Do you sense, since we tend to meander into discussions of how the game might evolve, but with the impact play rule or with just more players practicing range hitting against seamers at the death, that we may suddenly then see less fast bowlers succeed, Bish, and it may be a good time for spinner death bowlers to come in. Don't know who all can do it, but quite a few of them are keen to do it. Sikshana is doing it for Sri Lanka, Varun's doing it in this IPL, Chahal's bowling deeper, Rashid loves bowling deeper, but could that be somewhere the game goes because of how little the fast bowlers seem to have?
Well, I think you'll have the best guys, Tikshana, Patirana, the other Sri Lanka, doing very well with his death bowling. But the key thing that you said about those spinners, they're guys who can go each way. It's not just spinners, not orthodox spinners, but guys who can create doubt when guys are trying to hit straight through the line of the ball by going in each direction. So that's the key there. The big matchup, we'll revisit the last game and the big side of the ground, which is so much bigger than the small side tonight. So we are going to see this battle play out again tonight in a key game for both teams. This is key, how they utilize those sides of the ground.
Bish, when there's such a huge bias, we're talking about 13-meter bias, right? Does that help the seamers a little more than the spinner, you reckon?
I think, does it help the seamer a little more than the spinner? There's an advantage to it in that you have a margin for error that you try to use on the big side, whether you're either one. Because I see a Washington Sundar bowling to Rohit Sharma a couple of times in Dubai and stuff, big side of the ground, he comes on, he bowls, Rohit hits it, doesn't carry the big side. So it does help that spinner, but it also plays into the hands of a seamer if he can execute to that line as well. You're looking at me quizzically, you don't believe me, but
I'm seriously trying to understand.
That's his show look. He has this really serious look.
What is wrong with
good see it is.
No, I just Deep knows what I'm going to say. I'm not saying anything to Deep that Deep doesn't already know. The tactical matchup, where do you bowl Ravichandran Ashwin? Which end does he bowl from? At whom batters are going to look to target? That's such a small side. Guys are going to step across and look to mow it.
Because I'm actually thinking whether it's comparatively easier to manipulate the spinner more than the seamer. So, for example, if a spinner does try and bowl outside off stump, is it easier to kind of tonk him over onside rather than a seamer who's trying to bowl wide Yorkers?
But you have more time at the spin, don't you? You have more time to get across. So with that seamer, it's harder because guys will go slow ball into the pitch and ask you to hit to the big side, or they can go Yorker leg stump or off stump or wide of the pitch, whichever side they're bowling from. So I think it's just, what would I prefer as a seamer? I would prefer that margin of the big side. A spinner will have to work harder.
Okay, let me throw the other way around, because we look at Ashwin. Let me get some numbers for Ashwin. He's enjoying his best season in terms of strike rate. So Ashwin isn't just bowling soft overs or easy overs and going at a decent economy, which is what he's done in previous IPLs. He is among the wickets. It's right up there, and his season so far has been excellent against right-hand and left-hand batters. Those are the numbers. As you can see, he's been pretty good. You wouldn't mind 8 and 6 in an IPL. And he is at his best season in terms of strike rate. Now you've got two different boundaries. In a sense, Ashwin will always bowl to, depending on who's batting, if the left-hander, then you sort of, but Ashwin, who turns the ball both ways, these are, Chahal and him tend to sort of slow it up, force you to hit the other side. Not necessarily the worst challenge for a spinner, for someone like Ashwin, who fancies bowling to both lefties and righties.
Absolutely, because of all the variations he's got, not just the carom ball and the usual stock ball, which is the off spin, but he's got these undercutters and so many other variations. He started bowling googly with that carom ball action as well. So he's got so many variations as well. And so listen, he's bowled many of the off spinners even to right handers this season as compared to last season. Last season was very predictable, but I think he's varied really well this season.
Would you like to see KKR change it up a little though? Because you've got Gurbaz and Roy at the top, and then you've got three lefties, I think, slotted to come in one after the other. Is there a case, as we just look at that, you've got Venki, Nitish, Rinku, who tend to come in one after the other. Is there a case for a Shardul Thakur to disrupt the left-right hander? Is there a case for Russell coming up, which rarely happens? But on a day when you have different dimensions, the left-right is something teams want to have almost throughout.
True, but I don't think so. I mean, because you're still going to back your three left-handers in the middle order. Shardul did come at bat at number 3 one of the games.
Yeah.
Against RCB at Eden Gardens.
It didn't really work
No, it
that
wasn't
much.
Yeah,
So
just a couple of balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so it didn't really work. So I'm just gonna stick with it. That's your best middle order. Go with it, irrespective whether there are 3 left-handers or not.
Bish, would that tempt you? Break up the left-right, especially when the dimensions are what they are?
If the quality of the left-right surpasses 2 same-handed batsmen, I'd think about it. But if it doesn't surpass the quality of 2 same-handed batters, then I wouldn't do it.
What a good answer that is. Let me show you the team and you tell me. Bring the team up. Come on. Bring it. Let's get the Kolkata team.
It's for the audience to figure that out.
Is the quality of Shardul Thakur and Andre Russell enough to surpass the left-handedness of Venki, Nitish and Rinku? Go for it, Bish.
I'm not answering that. That is certainly a feel one, but quality should surpass those changes anyway. The one stat I was looking at that I couldn't get was lowest average for teams against spin so far this year. Knight Riders have lost 30 wickets to spin at an average of 20. So spin has not necessarily been their batters' forte, whereas Rajasthan Royals are averaging 44, 45 against spin. So that's a number that they have to turn on their head.
Yeah, perhaps furthermore the reason as to whether they could have gone spin heavy with someone like that. Anyway, I'm very curious to see if we actually see Joe Root bowl. Got to see Joe Root do something in the IPL.
Yeah.
It is his first ever season and we didn't get to bat. They batted very well against Sunrisers. It all went wrong, but Trent Bolt is back. He seems to have just these one-match niggles. Bish, what are one-match niggles as a fast bowler? You just miss one game every 3 or 4, or you just sort of sore and want a day off?
I've never had a one-match niggle.
Yeah, poor thing. I've asked the wrong man. Poor Bish.
Maybe the medical team have just said, look, you're in the red zone now and you need a break, and then you come back fresher in such a long season. So I don't think Shardul batted a try in that game. It was another game.
I'll tell you right now, so you don't lose sleep over it.
Yeah, I do.
But yes, give me first inning score predictions. Up until that point, Deep Dasgupta, it wasn't enough. They what 179 is what?
I think 172 or something. I said.
I'm talking about the Punjab game. It wasn't enough for them against KKR. So give me a first inning score today.
I think it should be around 182, 185. So I'll stick with 182.
182 for KKR at home. Bish.
189.
189. All right. The game was the Gujarat game, the Gujarat Titans game at the Eden Gardens.
Right.
There you have it. That's a wrap. The bell has been rung at the Eden Gardens. Lasit Malinga did the honors.
Oh wow.
That was the straightest his arm ever was. Like he sort of did it like that and not like that.
Highest.
Not
straightest.
Straight is the wrong one.
Connotations of straight is bad.
Yes.
Tap on the wrist for you.
That is the highest.
You need a little,
Yeah. What I need is the timeout. So let's leave it there. Great fun. Deep Dasgupta and Bishop, thank you very much. 182 and 189. I don't even need to tell you what I'm going to say.
200.
200. Let's go 200. 200 plus. Okay. It should be a cracking game. There's so much at stake, and the Eden Gardens always makes for spectacular viewing of cricket matches. Join us at halftime on Visit Saudi presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Time Out and download the mobile app. There's so much going on in the world of cricket. It'll have you covered with the very best of everything. We'll see you at the end of the KKR innings.